Alright, hello and welcome. My name is Monen and welcome to the V8 Supercars Sunday Series. This is round 6 of the series, the finale, and we are seeing ourselves at Bathurst Mount Panorama. So here are the event details. Round 6, the finale round. We've got 7 drivers in championship contention. See ourselves at Mount Panorama qualifying 10-minute session as you see on the screen now. Then race 1, only one race tonight. It's a 150-kilometre race, 24 laps with a mandatory pit stop. The weather will be clear and it's in spring. So we'll go to the next slide. So there's our track. It's a very iconic, well-known track among everyone in the world pretty much. It's one of the top-rated endurance tracks in the world as well. Well and truly up there with the likes of Spa and Nürburgring. So you see there's a lot of change in terrain there. Going up Mountain Straight, heading to Griffin's Bend and then up to the cutting. And we go up to Reed Park, all the way down to McPhillamy Park and the Great. Go down the Skyline, down the iconic S's. You have to dance the car around there. The Dipper, your car gets on 2 wheels. Got to remember, you can't accelerate until all 4 wheels hit the deck. And it's all guns blazing out of the accelerator there. And it's a very tricky corner heading into Forest Elbow. The car does not want to turn there. You don't feel any turn whatsoever, so the guys on the steering will be feeling a lot of not wanting to turn in at all. G'day, Lord, mate. We might be able to slot you in. We'll wait and see. So we'll go to the next slide. So here is our championship battle here. So Brennicles, championship leader, on top with 1,089 points. He's got a 165-point lead over Ty Morgo. And then Blue XR8 and Raw both equal on points in third on 903. Then we have Ghost, Someone Awesome and Azza rounding out the championship contenders from 5th to 7th. And then next out of the box is Carcado and Morningstar Mike. Those two are 12 points separated there. And then we got Austral, Black Wildcats, Nachos all rounding out positions 10 to 12. And we got Exo, Hammer, Dean, Peppy, Rooney, Darksider, Brett Wan, Andrew, HRT, Tereps, and Machapo rounding out the rest of the grid slots there. Now, here's the permutations and combinations for tonight. So, for Brennicles to win the championship today, he must simply get 9th or better. And quite an easy thing to do at this stage with the amount of people we got in the lobby, but that's all good. For Ty Morgo, Raw and Blue XR8 to win the championship, first and foremost, they must win the race today. And Brennicles must come 10th or worse for any of those 3 to come out victorious. And as for Ghost, Someone Awesome and Azza to win, they must simply win and hope that Brennicles gets a DNF. So that's the only way we can see those 3 drivers winning. So there are your permutations and combinations there. So we're currently in the 10-minute qualifying session right now. So we're currently on board with Morningstar Mike, who's almost hit the wall there. So I'll quickly change the view for me. We'll get split times, speedo and track map up on the screen. So yeah, I can't seem to work out why we're still clashing with Peppy and Black Wildcats. It's something that hasn't worked for some reason. And I tried exiting the lobby and it doesn't work. What I might do... Oh, but then I might not be able to get back in. So Ghost with a 2-minute flat. That's almost 2-minute flat there, but that's an awesome time. And it's very likely we're going to see that pole time stand there for Ghost. Wait and see if he can get in the 159s. We know it is possible at Mount Panorama. And Brennicles championship leader goes P2 of a 2:01.5, 1.1 seconds off the pace of Ghost. And we've got Azza and P3 of a 2:04.2. And then Carcado, Ty Morgo round out the top 5 there as Morningstar Mike goes across the line with a 2:09.1. And we got Blue XR8 moving up in the P3. Championship protagonist tonight with a 2:01.7. So we're currently in the top 3. We got Raw moving up into the top 4 with a 2:02.6. And then we got Hammer rounding out the top 5 with a 2:03.3. So there's some very top quality times there. But Ghost in a league of his own at the moment. And unfortunately he's binned it there. So he's returned the pit lane. So we're on board with the championship leader. A huge lead in hand. So it is very unlikely that we're going to see him lose this championship. Hopefully there's no commentator's curse. Just got to make sure there's none there. So down in the dipper now, you can see the car get on 2 wheels. So we're still in the mid-sector here on board with Brennicles. We'll actually get cockpit view up and running. We'll get a sector split at the end of the mid-sector here. Heading on the Conrod straight now. See the off-camber slight left-hander there. So he's 2 temps up on his quickest. So can he gain an extra second to Pip goes to the pole position time? We'll wait and see as he heads into the chase now. Deep under brakes. Doesn't hit the apex as he would like to. Clean on the power there as we head into Murray's last corner, corner 23. Very deep on the brakes, going back to second. Doesn't hit the apex and goes out wide. Has to get on the accelerator a lot later than he would like to. Cross the line now. It's half a second quicker than his quickest. So that was an awesome time there to record a 2:01 flat. But he's still got 7 attempts to gain in the championship leader. Brennicles, if he's get pole position as Blue XR8, someone awesome. He's up in the P4 with a 2:02.2. So he's decided to park it with 2 minutes 40 to go. This is Raw in P5. He's got a car right ahead of him. Now he's going to go across the control line now. It's just going to be for him. It's going to be half a second quicker. And he moves up in the P4. Second row start for him so far. So it relegates reigning champ, someone awesome, back to P5. Ty Morgo second in the championship. Currently P6. He's going to have to get a ripper of a time this lap. He will still have at least one more attempt at it. But he's going to have to get the time in now if he's to contend for the top spots. So no, it's an out lap from him. So we'll go on board with Hammer. So he's currently up at Reed Park. Barely down on his quickest time here. And that's a 2:02.8. So he's on par to get a 2:02.8 here. Hopefully he can get a bit of time in the mid-sector as he goes out wide and hits the outside wall. Got a little bit of a scrape there on the extra symbol there. As we head down into the S's now, he's got a car ahead. So we'll wait and see what happens here. He's got the lights on. Car trying to get out the way. Trying to send it down the inside, but simply can't. They're both on hot laps here, so both these drivers have right away at what they're willing to do here. So across the second sector split now. It's going to be 1.2 seconds off the pace for Hammer. And that is lap done and dusted. Qualifying done and dusted for him. We're on board with Azza. He's also one of our championship contenders. But for him to win the championship, he must win. And he also must hope that Brennicles gets a DNF. There's a whole lot of other permutations, combinations that I haven't come up with. But there's at least 15 of those. So we're just doing it in comparison to the championship leader Brennicles. And that's simply how he has to win this. So these two are on hot laps here. I think that's Ty Morgo ahead. It is. So we'll go cockpit view on board with Ty Morgo here. He's got a car in behind of Azza. So Azza will be getting a clean drafting opportunity here off the back of Ty Morgo. So you can see him in the side and rear view mirror now. Although the leaderboard's covering the rear view mirror up at this stage. As we head into the cutting, went a little bit wide on corner entry, Ty Morgo. But what's the sector split going to be at the end of the first sector? We've got nothing to compare to. But the lap looks clean so far. So qualifying is done. Ghost has set a new fastest lap of a 2-minute flat. Oh, not quick enough to get in the 1:59s. That's a friggin' ripper of a lap time there from Ghost. As we go down the S's and the dipper now for Ty Morgo and Azza. Azza's been able to stay relatively close to the rear end of Ty Morgo on this lap. So both times will be pretty similar. We're about to exit the mid-sector now here for Ty Morgo. See if we get a sector split. No, we don't. So he's currently sitting P6. And all he has to do is at least gain 4 attempts to at least get up one position in P5. But for Ty Morgo, he'll love to have a front row start in the final race of the V8 Supercars Sunday Series as we head deep into the last sector now, heading into Murray's, the last corner of the track. Very hard corner, this one. Hits the apex perfect, but a little bit of extra oversteer. So across the control line now for Ty Morgo. It's going to be quicker, but not quick enough to go any far up the grid. And Azza also doesn't improve. So Carcato, he's on a hot lap. What's this going to be for him? 2:03.3 fastest at the moment. 2:03.2 for Carcato. No improvement on the grid. And there goes Dean. No doubt that's going to be invalidated there. I think Exo's done and dusted as well. Raw is also done and dusted. Someone awesome came out on track a bit late, so he wasn't able to get across the control line. So here we go. It's the final round of the V8 Supercars Sunday Series, and it's Ghost on pole position once again with a 2-minute flat there, followed by the championship leader with a 2:01 flat. Then we got Someone Awesome rounding out the top 3. We got Blue XR8, Raw, Ty Morgo, Hammer, Azza, Carcato, Dean, Exo, Nachos, Morningstar Mike, and that rounds out the grid. Unfortunately, we have connection issues with Peppy and Black Wildcats once again. I thought I came up with the fix for it, but unfortunately, not happy days. So we're just going to have to get right into this, because up next after this live stream, we've got Race on Oz's Pagnian GT3 Series Div 1 coming up right after this. So we've got to have a quick turnaround in time for me to get a couple more things set up here. So we just have to get straight into this. So Ghost on pole position. One of our championship contenders today, but very unlikely to come out with a championship win. Brennicles, he's our championship leader, starting alongside him on the front row in P2. And he's got a healthy lead at the top of the leaderboards. Someone Awesome, also one of those drivers in contention, but not likely to win the championship today. Blue XR8 is one of the drivers likely to win the championship, assuming he wins and Brennicles comes 10th or lower. He currently starts P4. Raw rounds out the top 5. Also equal points with Blue XR8, so same scenario for him. Ty Morgo, same scenario there for him, but he's a little bit further up in the points. And we've got Hammer in P7. Azza in P8. Carcato in P9. Dean round out the top 10 there. We've got Exo, Nachos, and Morningstar Mike round out 11th to 13th. So we're about to go green here for the endurance race of the V8 Supercars Sunday Series. This is round 6, the finale. We are going to crown a champion tonight. So who's it going to be? We'll wait and see who gets to jump off the line here. So here we go. So here we go. Who's going to get the jump off the line? There's a lot of wheel spin off the start, but Brennicles, he gets the jump, but it seems to be an even start from the front 2. As Ghost comes out in position 1 after turn 1 with a decent gap in hand. We got Blue XR8 on the outside there, just slotting right in behind the championship leader, Brennicles. So Ghost is starting to extend that lead already. And now Brennicles, the championship leader, under extreme amounts of pressure from Blue XR8, the car behind. So Carcato has left the session. I'm not sure what's happened there. So So Brennicles holding off a charging Blue XR8. Blue XR8 is one of his lead contenders for the championship here. And then we got someone awesome up in behind Blue XR8. And then it's all round out the top 5. So the top 5 are championship contenders. Then we've got Azza and Ty Morgo, the other 2 champ contenders, all the way down in P8 and P10 respectively. So we've got a car off there in Nacho. So he's hit the outside wall at Reed Park. So he's took too much of the inside curb. And as a result, he's been put into the outside wall. So we're back on board with the championship leader. He's still getting hunted down by Blue XR8. Someone awesome behind. And it's Ghost with a 1.3 second lead over the championship leader. So awesome pace from him. But very unlikely for Ghost to win the championship. He could seal the deal with P2. But for him to win this championship, Brennicles must get a DNF. And knowing Brennicles, he will not DNF this race. So he's got a decent gap in between himself and Blue XR8 now, because Blue XR8 is under pressure from someone awesome, the reigning champion, behind as we exit the chase. But they both hold station there, so we're about to conclude the end of lap 1. And it's Ghost with a decent lead in hand of 1.2 seconds over Brennicles. And then it is Blue XR8 round out top 3. He's 2 seconds off the lead of this race, so Blue XR8 starting to catch up to the rear end of Brennicles once again. A little bit of an inside lock there for Blue XR8, but he holds on to it. So we got a pit stop being made by Ty Morgo. He's been caught up in the mid-pack there, so a strategic move here for him. But the question is, will he have the tyres to last to the end? We'll wait and see. That's Morningstar Mike in P8. And you can see Nacho's car behind. He had a little bit of an incident 1 lap ago. Azza, one of our championship leaders, got a decent gap in front of him and behind him. So he's got a bit of clean air here. Hammer currently sitting P6, trying to hunt down Dean in P5 there. And as for Dean, he's moved up 5 positions off the start of this race. So awesome opening lap from him as he almost hits the inside wall there. So I don't want to be giving drivers the commentator's curse, but every time I say something good, something bad is about to happen. So hopefully nothing bad happens for the rest of this race. And we've got a car. Someone awesome rotated at the back of Philippi Park. And he's relegated all the way back to P7. So awful scenes there for someone awesome. You can see his bonnet crushed in there. So unfortunate scenes there for one of our championship contenders. This could be race done and dusted for him. He's going to have to limp it back to pit lane to get those repairs done. So Dean is up in the P4 and he's going to get past Blue XR8. Is he down the chase? He is. He's going to get it done. So easy move there for Dean and Hammer to move up in the P3 and P4. Now that's relegated Blue XR8 right back to P5. So this is the battle for P3 here. It's Dean holding off a charging Hammer. And then Blue XR8 trying to regain momentum in P5 there. So going out wide is Dean. Hammer's got an overlap on the inside and he gets the move done. So he makes the most of a mistake from Dean. Now Dean is under pressure from Blue XR8 behind because he's gone out wide. No, he's not. It looked as though through the mid-corner he was going out wide, but he manages to gather it up. And now he's trying to go on the attacking end, on the rear end of Hammer, and we're about to see if he's going to make a move up at Griffin's Bend. He sends it down the inside. Can he get it under brakes? He's got the overlap and he's forced Hammer out wide, so that is a good move there made by Dean, and that also invites Blue XR8 up into P4. So Blue XR8 will really be licking his lips. He didn't really have to do anything for that overtake there. So they'll be saying thank you, Dean, for pushing him out wide. So this battle here, the battle for P3. 3rd, 4th and 5th, all battling it out. Championship leader Brennicles is 2.5 seconds away from the race leader in Ghost. So Ghost, he's setting fastest laps of the race, lap after lap. So he's brought his qualifying pace right back into the race as well. So awesome pace in the early stages of this race for Ghost. And we'll also see Ghost in Race on Oz's Pagnian GT3 series after this. So it's a double header for him as well, as Hammer loses the rear end at Forest Elbow there, but he holds on to it. Awesome car control from him. So Dean, he's got a decent gap in between himself and Blue XR8 now, so he's starting to get the hang of these V8 Supercars. Quite unfortunate, he's gotten used to it in the last round because he's got extraordinary pace on board the number 5 Ford Falcon there, Dean, in this race. So as he's moved up in the P6 after a result of a few incidents a couple laps ago. So Southern Awesome after he exits pit lane. Now, that is just a visual glitch there. I would assume he's fixed that damage in the pits. So he's back out on track and he's rejoined the track in P11. And we've got Raw in P12. So he's also been caught up in some sort of carnage. One of our championship contenders, and it's looking like his championship is done and dusted. So we are down to effectively 5 championship contenders now after a couple of early race incidents. But it's Ghost, one of those championship contenders, blazing away in P1, but he needs Brennicles to DNF, and it's looking highly unlikely for him. So all Ghost can do is get some respect on the board here with a race win. And what better to get a race win at Mount Panorama? It will be an awesome effort if he can pull it off. So he's got a 3-second gap between himself and Brennicles. And Dean round out the top 3, and he's under pressure by Blue XR8 up at the top of the mountain. He goes out into the outside wall there. Again, that set him offline, and Blue XR8, he's going to send it down the inside at McPhillamy Park. And Dean has been forced out wide there, and he's going to have to slot it right in behind Blue XR8 down in the S's. And his car's all over the place here. Number 6 car of Dean, I did make a mistake before saying he was the number 5 Ford Falcon, so he's under extreme amounts of pressure here from Hammer. The car behind, couple defensive manoeuvres, heading into Forest Elbow. So he's really feeling the pressure now, Dean. He would really love to get on that podium, but he's just got to keep the composure. He's just got to calm it down just a little bit. Try and get back into a rhythm here. When you make a mistake like that, there's further mistakes to follow if you don't rectify getting back into the groove. So 3.4 second gap between Ghost and Brennicles. So Brennicles in the prime seat to win the championship in the early stages of this race. As Hammer tries to look down the inside at Murray's, but a little bit too far back for his likings. And he's going to get an overlap down the main straight here. But he didn't get the traction off the corner. Can he go deep under brakes though? We'll wait and see. He's trying to go for it. He's going to slot in behind once again. So you can see Azza in the background there as well. He's playing himself into this battle as well. So we're going to see a 4-way battle for P3 soon. And what better way to end this championship with extreme amounts of close racing here. So it's Ghost leading over Brennicles, Blue XR8 round that top 3. Then we've got Dean and Hammer round that top 5. Azza, Morningstar, Mike, Nachos, Exo, Tom Morgo round that top 10. As Hammer tries to make another move down the inside. And Dean, he surely made a mistake through the cutting there because he's lost a little bit of traction and a little bit of time in comparison to Hammer, because Hammer is really putting the hammer to it now. He's right on the rear bumper at the top of the mountain. He might be able to make a move relatively soon. He gets it done. He's forced Dean into a mistake, though he hasn't. So Dean lucky to hold off there, and it's still heating up here between these two. Dean's really losing the composure at the top of the mountain. He's just got to keep a cool head up there. He's just going to try and not worry about Hammer behind. As we go on the Forest Elbow now, and that was a massive lock up as Dean goes out wide. It seems as though Hammer followed just a little bit, and this is really playing into the hands of Azza, because if something happens between these two, he'll be gifted 2 positions here, right up in the P4. So we're heading into the chase now. So it's Dean with a slight advantage over Hammer, and has Hammer got to make a move under brakes? Massive move under brakes for Dean as he goes out wide. So he's going to rejoin. Is that going to be an unsafe rejoin? It is. So Dean, unsafe rejoin there. So unfortunately for Dean, he's going to have to be penalised for that. So unsafe rejoin, unfortunately, as Hammer towards the pit lane for his mandatory pit stop. So probably an unscheduled pit stop there, just to get him out of traffic there. So, like I said, commentator's curse, that's just gifted as a P spot of P4 there. And now he's trying to chase down Blue XR8, who's just gapped himself between these guys after that incident, because he's all the way up at Griffin's Bend now. And Azza only just entering Griffin's Bend. So that gap has extended between Blue XR8 and the 4th place car and Azza. So Blue XR8, he'll be really happy to see the pressure has degraded there. But unfortunately for Dean, he's in a little bit of hot water after that. And very unfortunate scenes there for Hammer. He had extraordinary pace earlier on in the race. Can he recover it in the mid-stage and the later stages, as we see another car toward the pit lane in Exo? So he seems to have a little bit of scratches here and there. So he's been a little bit of rubbing for sure. So we're going to go back up to the front. It's the battle between Azza and Dean. So here we go at the dipper now. Heading into Forest Elbow. Hardest corner on the track, in all honesty. As Dean gets unsettled in the braking zone right at the back there and scrapes the outside wall as a result. He's really struggling in the car there. So maybe he's going to have to make a pit stop for a set of tyres, because his tyres don't look to be lasting that long. So Blue XR8 with a 4-second advantage in P3 over Azza now. So he's really... Oh, it's a massive dive bomb there from Dean. So unfortunate scenes there for Azza once again. So Dean been caught up in a couple of incidents here. And no doubt he's in extremes amounts of hot water there. So maybe just a mental blank there from Dean. Went a little bit too deep on the brakes. This is Blue XR8. And this is the leading car of Ghost. We might actually go on board with him. See if he's suffering from understeer in this stage of the race, because the tyres, no doubt, will be hurting at this stage. He's got a little bit of lap traffic to negotiate up ahead. But I think, as for Exo, he's actually racing for position. So he's already pitted in. So realistically, he doesn't have to give up position. But he's going to have to there after a collision with the outside wall near McPhillamy Park. So heading into the S's now. He's playing it very conservative, Ghost. Last lap of 2:02.8. He's really dancing it around. So heading into Forest Elbow now. The car looks reasonably planted to the road there. He's really set up this car for Bathurst. See a little incline, that left-hander back there. If you use cockpit view, it should sort of put you off a little bit, but that's the reality of racing. If you race there in real life, you're going to have that incline. So at the exit of the chase now, I had to slow down just a little bit through the mid-corner to gather it up. So Ghost is about to enter lap 8 of lap 24. We're yet to see him come in for his mandatory pit stop. But no doubt, through the mid-stages of this race, you see a lot of guys react to that. So that was a lap on board with Ghost, the race leader. This is the championship leader in Brennicles. He's 5 seconds down from the lead of this race, but looking very comfortable to pull off the championship win here in the V8 Supercars Sunday Series. He's been very consistent. He's barely bit off the podium this series. And as a result, he sees him in P1 in the championship with a hefty margin. If I do recall correctly, it was about a 168 point margin. So that is a bit over half a round in hand. So drivers really have to rely on Brennicles in stuffing this race up. And I don't want to be saying that. I don't want to be escaping and say what happens if Brennicles has a DNF. I'm just pointing it out there that for Ghost to win this championship, Brennicles must have a DNF. So there's no bias there whatsoever. Just putting the permutations and combinations right out there. trying to reiterate myself throughout the stream if we have new viewers come on board. There's Blue XR8 cruising away in P3 there. We've got Azza, he's in P4 and he's lost a bit more ground to Blue XR8 ahead. He's 8 seconds down on Blue XR8 in P3. Dean, after a couple of disastrous laps as he almost goes into the outside wall there and almost does a monster back in the DJR days. And we've got Morningstar Mike in P6. He's cruising well. And as for Morningstar Mike, did he make a mandatory pit stop? He may well have done that. So Nachos, he currently sits P7. Reigning champ, unfortunately not going to be the champion tonight. But he's had a good run in this series. Should be able to get a top 5 result, no doubt. So that'll be another solid result for someone awesome. We've got Hammer, unfortunately for him, not in contention. But he's looking to get this pace back up to scratch. We've got Ty Morgo in P10. So considering he's way too far down the grid, we're not likely to see him win the championship today. He's one of those drivers that can win the championship, assuming he wins the race and Brennicles comes 10th or worse. So we got Exo, Blue XR8. He's the first of the lead drivers in the pits here. We also got Exo in the pits once again, so he's struggling in the 44 Falcon there. So going past now is Dean. So he moves up in the P4. Well and truly in some hot water after a couple incidences in the opening half of the race here. But he's cruising away just fine. We've got Morningstar Mike. He's moved up in the P5 now. And Nacho's moving up in the P6. He's got a little bit of damage on the right-hand side of the car. No doubt he's been in the outside wall at the top of the mountain numerous times there. And there's your evidence. He's also got a bent rear wing there. So not going to have aerodynamic efficiency for sure on board his car there. So no doubt he's going to be struggling with rear end stability, especially on top of the mountain. So we'll actually see how he's tracking as he has an inside lock heading into the cutting there. So last lap for Ghost, so 2:03 flat. So those lap times are starting to die off just a little bit for Ghost. But he's still the quickest on track. So when you're still the quickest on track, that's a sign you don't need to pit in. So that's what I was talking about before. Nachos, no doubt, has done that numerous times. And there's your evidence there once again. A lot of paint and panel damage there and aerodynamic damage. And as a result, low aerodynamic efficiency on board his car. And now Blue XR8, he should be able to make a move relatively easy heading into Forest Elbow if he can set it up early. And that's going to be Nachos in the outside wall there. But he manages to hold on to it, but it's going to be an easy overtake for Blue XR8. Hammer's all the way up in P8 now, so he's tracking well. Azza, he's in P3, yet to make a mandatory pit stop. But he's got good pace by the looks of it. Let's compare him to Blue XR8. Last lap for Blue XR8, a 2:15.2, but that was an in lap. So the next lap will be an out lap for him, so we'll see a similar time there as Dean comes in for his mandatory pit stop. He's 52 seconds behind the lead this race, and the leader in Ghost, he's really blazing away with consistent lap times there, so tremendous effort from him. Unfortunately, he joined 2 rounds too late, and he sees himself in a predicament that isn't favourable in trying to win the championship. But he's doing everything he can to put respect on the leaderboard and to prove that he should have been the champion, because he's been the most winning driver in the series. But as for Brennicles, he's had the most podiums in the series. So compare to pair there. So even if Ghost did at least join us 1 round prior, the championship leader, Brennicles, would either be a little amount or he'll be losing by a minute amount. So either way, Brennicles would be in the charge for the championship if that scenario had occurred earlier on in the season. So as Brennicles comes in the pit lane now for his mandatory pit stop, he looks very aggressive on pit entry, and that's very good to see. As his pit crew is just getting ready for him now. So as he's heading into the chase now, he might be able to get past Brennicles, the championship leader, but in terms of track position, when we compare it to the pit stops, he does not have that track position. So we might see him come in relatively soon, or he might even react here. No, he does not. So he's going to go one more time around. We'll get back on board with Brennicles. He's exiting pit lane now, and you can see Azza in the background there. So Azza, he's going to get past Brennicles. He's got the top end speed heading down the main straight. He's going to have decent mid-corner speed heading in the Hell corner. And he's going to get that move done heading into Griffin's maybe, because he's got the top end speed over him at this stage. In the slipstream now, we might be able to see a move for P2 here as Brennicles goes defensive there. So all Brennicles has to do is get within the top 10, and he's won this championship, and he's doing just that because he currently sits P2. Unfortunately for Coase, not much screen time at this stage because he's in a league of his own at the front. And obviously that's a good thing because he's relatively fast in comparison to the drivers behind him. So we're on board with Brennicles, and Azza's lost out just a tiny bit in the mid-sector here. The gap's started to extend for Brennicles now. So a bit of clean air in front of him and behind him as he had to go down the escape road there as he clipped the outside wall. We might see a slowdown penalty for that, but we might not. Wait and see. Morningstar Mike, he's up in the P4 now, but he's almost under pressure from the driver behind him, Blue XR8, who's made his mandatory pit stop. I'm not entirely sure if Morningstar Mike has made it or not, but I'm under the impression that he has. I'm pretty sure he did it on the opening lap. So realistically, this is fighting for track position here between these two guys. Morningstar Mike, he's doing a cracker of a job on older tyres as well. So I'm pretty sure no matter who has gone into the pits, they've definitely went in for a change for tyres. Because you're definitely not going to last the whole race on one set of tyres if you want to be fast, that is. You can do it, but your lap times will be all the way down in the 208s, and obviously that's not effective of winning races at Mount Panorama when you're 4 seconds off the pace. So as a result, you've got to make that strategy call to opt to go in for tyres to get a bit of a yield as well earlier on. So undercut is key as well at Mount Panorama. So Morningstar Mike, he's had a couple of moments on the last lap. His last lap was 2:08.9. So that's evidence of his older tyres there. And what I just reiterated before, if you're on the older tyres, you're going to be recording times of 2:08s, and that's not effective. So he's going to be under extreme amount of pressure here as we have another disconnection here, unfortunately. Just trying to figure out who that is, but we'll go back to it once the race is done. So it's a retirement there from EXO, that is. So not a disconnection. So it's good to see he's staying in the lobby, watching this thing out. And I do commend EXO. He's done extraordinary efforts on a controller to drive these beasts of a machine. They're extremely hard on the steering wheel, first of all. And for him to be cracking laps on a controller, I really commend him for his efforts there. And for him to get a decent championship finishing position, he's done a decent job on a controller for sure. So Blue XRA, he's cruising quite easily in P3. So after a pit stop and maybe a mistake from Ghost, he sees himself all the way back in P2 now because the championship leader has got a 3-second lead over a blazing Ghost. So I'm not sure what's happened here unless Brennicles didn't go in for tyres. That will be the only thing that I can put it down to. We'll wait and see, as the last lap for Ghost was a 2:10.7. So maybe a mistake there. Because I think that definitely wasn't an outlap for Ghost. So he's made a mistake on the previous lap. So unfortunate scenes there for Ghost. As the championship leader, Brennicles, is looking to seal the deal. We're on lap 13 of 24 here at Mount Panorama, the home of endurance racing in Australia. It's the holy grail of motorsport down under. So it's a very iconic circuit here. So what better to get a win here? Probably what's better for Brennicles than to get a win here? Probably the championship at this stage. He's got a healthy gap in hand, so even if he makes a few mistakes here and there, that's not going to hinder him much. So someone awesome. He's going to be chased down by a few of the guys behind him soon. But Ty Morgo and Hammer are battling it out here. Two championship contenders earlier on in the race, but their championships are effectively done and dusted. All they can do is accumulate as much points as they can and get as high a finishing position as they can in the championship. So a bit over half a second quicker on his fastest lap time there, Ty Morgo. So 2:04 flat is his fastest lap time. We've got a car rejoining there in Morningstar Mike. So there's the question that I was asking earlier. Morningstar Mike did not make a pit stop, but now he's under pressure from Hammer in P9. So Ty Morgo will be a bit relieved that Morningstar Mike has rejoined the pack in a charging Hammer. He's trying to put the hammer to it, but, and I've used that pun once, I might use it just one more time. So there's a battle. This is the battle between P6 to effectively P10. Maybe even P11, because Raw is starting to bring himself back up into this battle as well. If he can bring the pace later on in this race. We're a bit over the halfway mark now. So we've got 12 laps to go here at Mount Panorama. So we're currently on board spectating Morningstar Mike. He's currently in P8 and he's trying to hold off Hammer in P9 behind. And there's barely anything in it between these two, as Morningstar Mike seemed to have got better traction out of the corner at the dipper, but he goes now a little bit wide at Forest Elbow. It might invite Hammer up in the P8. No, it doesn't, but he's going to be right in the slipstream here as we go down Conrod Straight for the 13th time. He's trying to get an overlap heading into the chase, but it's not just going to cut it. He might be able to make a move heading into the end of the chase. No, he's just going to hold back at this stage. So he's going to be looking for an opportunity later on, and there's the opportunity as they almost both take each other out there. Really unfortunate scenes there for Morningstar Mike as Hammer drifts off into pit lane. So something's gone extremely wrong there for him to be touring pit lane here, because I'm pretty sure he's made a pit stop. So Ty Morgo, he's extended that gap in P7. It's 3 seconds between him and Morningstar Mike. And now he's right on the rear bumper of reigning champ, Someone Awesome in P6. So we might actually have to go on board cockpit view here with Ty Morgo, one of our championship protagonists. So you can see Someone Awesome, he's really under the pump now. He's really struggling in the number 1 Ford Falcon there. You can see the evidence there as he enters the cutting, and he's almost rotated it there. And thank God for Ty Morgo, right place at the right time for Someone Awesome, because I think Ty Morgo just saved Someone Awesome from drifting off into the inside wall there. So he'd be really thanking Ty Morgo there for helping him out. But Ty Morgo wouldn't be too happy after that. Slowed him down just a little bit. But now he might be able to make a move, and he's just going to drift off there. So he's just given a little redress there, Someone Awesome. So good sportsmanship there from him, realising what just happened about half a sector ago. So very good sportsmanship there from the reigning champ. So he's just drifted off a little bit in comparison to Ty Morgo now. So he went right out of the throttle at McPhillamy. And he let Ty Moore go right past as a redress. So there's a 1 second gap between Someone Awesome and Morningstar Mike. You can see Morningstar Mike just in the background a few moments ago. There he is once again. So a charging Morningstar Mike trying to get into the picture here. He's trying to get into the battle for P6. And then you see Nacho's in behind in P9. So he's also brought himself up into this battle. And that's Someone Awesome drifting off to the right, left-hand side there. So unfortunate for Someone Awesome in the last round of the V8 Supercars Sunday Series. And it's 7 tenths in it. Brennicles holding a 7th tenth lead over Ghost, the car behind. Two championship protagonists here. Ghost, he's looking to make a move on the next lap or so. We'll wait and see what happens as this race develops in the later stages. Cars just slotting in Griffin's Bend quite nicely there. There's no evidence of extra oversteer or extra understeer. These guys are really in the groove here. And obviously that's the reason why these two are the leaders of this race, as Brennicles almost goes into the inside wall there. So almost made a huge crash there. And it definitely would have taken out Ghost in the process, no doubt. We've seen a lot of drivers get caught up at Reed Park. It's a very hard corner to contend with, that's for sure. When it's off camber on corner entry and corner exit, it's very hard to get on the power at Reed Park. It's very hard to get on the brakes down here heading into Forest Elbow. So these two are on lap 16 of 24. So we're going to be finished with this race with a lot of time in hand. I've got a few more things to put on the stream for Race on Oz's Pagny and GT3 series, as I've got a few more driver bios to add to the list. So we'll get that finalised and we'll get to know some of the drivers in that series as that comes available in the next hour or so. So it'll be more of an introduction to the series as well. So a couple of weeks ago we did do the meet and greet round for that, and it's fair to say very close racing for sure. 4 different manufacturers, and majority of the time 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. So it's going to be a league to watch on this channel, no doubt. So we're still going the battle here with Brennicles and Ghost. P1 and P2, these guys heading into Griffin's Bend for the 17th time this race. Now Brennicles, he seems to have made a little bit of a mistake on corner exit at Griffin's, because he's 2 tenths in front of Ghost now, and he's trying to make a move up at the cutting. He shows the nose down the inside, and they're side by side heading up into Reed Park. And it's good awareness there from Brennicles, just to let out the throttle just a little bit. Now he's on the outside at the top of the mountain. He's trying everything to hold on to position 1 here. Brennicles, the championship leader, but he's been forced out of it there. So he's just going to have to slot in behind Ghost in P1. Now Ghost has got a half second lead already. Down in the S as we go, heading into the dipper as these cars get on 2 wheels. So very hard to get on the power there too. It's a very hard track for sure. Track difficulty, very hard. Brennicles almost taking the outside wall there with him. Almost doing a Dick Johnson back in the day. He's sort of thankful that the tyre bundle wasn't there. And that's the lap car of Nacho. So he's been caught up in a little bit more, I think. No, that might be Southern Awesome. No, that is Nacho's. They're both taking the number 1 car here. And you can see the front splitter there about to tear off. So a lot of damage on Nacho's car there. So back up to the front now. Ghost has a 6/10 lead over Brennicles and P2. So Brennicles is trying to hold on and trying to keep this lead within attacking distance in the closing stages of this race. Drivers still make mistakes. They're all human, so they can't take the same line lap after lap. It's just the reality of our instincts, unfortunately. So obviously we don't want Ghost to stuff up, but he's got to keep composed. If it means extending his braking zones just a little bit, it's best to be on the safe side and into the wall, as he has an inside lock there at the cutting. So Brennicles, championship leader. It's almost time to call him the V8 Supercars Sunday Series champion. We're on lap 18 of 24. We're definitely in the closing stages of this race. And it is a battle for P1 here between Ghost and Brennicles. So effectively 6.5 laps to go now, as we enter the S's once again, dancing these cars around. Trying to keep my energy for both of the streams tonight, considering this is a longer race as well. This is a 150-kilometre race, so we'll have a little break after this and then we'll get straight back into it. So here we go, heading into the chase now, and Brennicles is still reeling Ghost in front as we exit the chase now. Deep under brakes they go. Ghost, he got an awesome exit out the end of the chase because he's just gained 2 tenths ahead on Brennicles just out of 2 corners. So you can see the strengths and weaknesses from these two cars. It seems as though Brennicles is very quick in the first sector, but it sort of dies off in halfway through the mid sector and in the last sector. So they're both on par with each other here, both Ghost and Brennicles. As Brennicles goes out wide at turn 1, Hell Corner, we've got a bit of lap traffic up ahead. It's either the Raw Morningstar Mike car there or Hammer. So that is the car of Raw. He was a championship contender earlier on in the race, but unfortunately he's had a few minor setbacks throughout the race, and he sees himself trying to accumulate as much points as he can. Trying to get as far up in the championship as possible here. So we might actually go on board with Ghost cockpit view, see how these tyres are going, see if he's actually struggling on the steering wheel. The steering seems to be very smooth. It seems to always be one input, and there seems to be no evidence of having a counter lock as a result of almost rotating the car or through extra oversteer. So no doubt Ghost is going to be able to send it right past Raw down Conrod here. Ghost got right past Brennicles there. Correction, Raw. Now Brennicles has to contend with the lap traffic here. It's a little bit of the inside curve, a little bit of extra oversteer as well because of that, but he holds on to it. Awesome car control there for Brennicles. As we enter Murray's corner now. So there's Raw, by the looks of it, getting out of the way maybe. No. Doesn't have to get right out the throttle. He can stick it right up to 90% throttle up here and not lose much time out of it. That's the mentality of how lap cars are meant to approach it. So I get really pissed off when I hear people on other racing leagues on PC saying that you have to slow right out the throttle. Obviously I'm not the lap car, but I understand when I'm lapping people that they have the right of way to try lose as little time as possible when I have to make the move. And as for Raw, he did exactly what you would expect of a lap car. So we get back on board the trackside view here. So a bit of a decent gap there. 1.5 seconds in hand for Ghost over Brennicles, championship leader. And Azza's cruising away in P3. Pretty sure he's made a mandatory pit stop. He sees himself 22 seconds ahead of Blue XR8. Ty Morgo's brought himself up into the battle for a podium as well. He currently sits P5, and then Dean in P6. He's in a little bit of hot water, I reckon. And we got Morningstar Mike, Raw, Hammer, and Nachos round out top 10. Then, unfortunately, for the reigning champ, he's currently sitting all the way back in P11. But it's the battle between the two number one cars here. Who's going to prevail? Is it going to be Nachos or someone awesome? Who are you cheering for on board with this battle as they go side by side? It was almost a catastrophe there between these two. But good car control by both those guys to hold on to it. That's a position made for someone awesome, the reigning champ. So Hammer, he's up into P9. Raw up in P8. He's trying to chase down Morningstar Mike in P7. There's a little bit of a gap between these two, but they're both lap cars. So Morningstar Mike is next in line for the leaders. So he might lose a little bit of ground, just a little bit. Trying to find a battle pack here, but the closest we got to that is the battle for P1 in Ghost and Brennicles. So Ghost really starting to get some screen time now as this gap is starting to close up. So on lap 21 of 24, and very likely that we're going to see a new champion in the Sunday Series. This is effectively Season 3 of the Sunday Series. The first championship went to Pointy in the Clio Cup Sunday Series. The second season in the GTE Series went to Someone Awesome. And then we're going to crown a new champion here for Season 3 in the Sunday Series. The V8 Supercars Sunday Series champion, looking highly likely to be the position 2 car of Brennicles. He's been very consistent in this championship. We barely seen him off the podium, so it's a very comfortable view to see him on the podium every race. It's where you would expect him to be after being very consistent in this series. It's a good accolade to also get a championship in this series, considering the drivers that he's got to contend with in Ghost and a couple of champions in this series and a lot of race winners and a lot of podium getters for sure. So no doubt these championships don't come on a platter, and it hasn't come on a platter for Brennicles. He's just done the hard work behind the scenes, and as a result, he's going to come home with a comfortable championship victory. So last laps almost replicated each other with Ghost and Brennicles. They're almost on par with each other on the previous lap. But now Brennicles has to contend with lap traffic here, and I'm pretty sure that's the car of Morningstar Mike. So as these guys go onto the cutting now, Morningstar Mike just going to the right-hand side there, parking it up wide. Very good sportsmanship there by him. Lap with the championship leader. I'll shut up for the next half lap or so, as I'm going to go get a quick drink. So I did see that sector split there. He's almost 2 seconds off his fastest, so no doubt that Brennicles is really struggling on those tyres. 5 more go. Currently sitting P5 here. Now the battle for P1 has drifted a little bit to 3 seconds, so we're on the last lap for go, so we might actually cruise on board with a lap with him because he's trying to go for fastest lap here by the looks of it. He's really putting the pedal to the metal here. As we enter the S's, how aggressive does he dance this car around? Trying to glide it through here, trying to keep up the mid-corner speed without having to use the brake. It's the mentality of going through the S's. Just trying to trail brake is the key to setting yourself up for a good lap. But he's went out wide at Forest Elbow. But he's going to come out with the race win. Brennicles is going to come out with a top 2 spot here and also come out with the championship. So huge congratulations to Brennicles. He's the 3rd champion we've had in the Sunday Series in 3 seasons. So this series is bound to excite in the next few as well, as we look to go NASCAR racing next season. We're not just going to have oval racing, we're going to have road courses as well, and we're also going to implement the playoff system specifically for NASCAR. It's only going to be for NASCAR. You can see Ghost there slowing right down, trying to get right up to the wall as his pit crew congratulates him on an awesome win there. So Brennicles comes home in P2 and with the championship win. Azza is all the way back at the S's and he's going to be the 3rd car across the line. So it's good to see we've actually had 5 cars on the lead lap in a 150-kilometre distance race. So we're just about to conclude this round. Unfortunately, I won't be able to get the results up on the leaderboards as soon as possible. It's going to have to wait a little while and might have some pending investigations. So, yep, Azza is going to come home in P3. Blue XR8, one of the championship protagonists, heading into the final round. He did start in the top 3, but he's going to come out second best in the championship because he is going to finish in front of Ty Morgo. Blue XR8 and I think Raw, they're both on equal points here. So Roy, he's going to be relegated down a little bit in the standings. No doubt someone awesome after a disastrous result there in P11 is going to take a beating in the standings as well. But I commend the drivers for driving in this series, sticking it out to the end, because these are very hard cars to drive no matter what you play on. Steering wheel controller, they're hard either way. You really got to put the seat time into it. So there are our unofficial results. As I'm just trying to get the screenshots now. So there we go. That is the conclusion of the V8 Supercars Sunday Series. We also have a new champion in Brennicles. And unfortunately for Ghost, joining one round too late, he's been the most winning driver in the series. And I think he's going to come out second best in the championship. We'll wait and see how that unfolds. I've been Metamonen, and I'll see you relatively shortly, in less than an hour's time, for Race on Oz's Pagnian GT3 series. It's going to be a ripper. I'll see you then.